Kindly remain standing for the singing of the national anthem, Negaraku. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated.
His Excellency Dr. Karomuddin Gadoyev, Ambassador of the Republic of Uzbekistan to Malaysia, Embassy of the Republic of Uzbekistan in Malaysia, Mr. Abbas Adil Riza, Trade Representative, Minister Counselor to Malaysia, High Commission of the Republic of Maldives in Malaysia, Mr. Zhe Sun, Federal Member for the Southwestern Sydney Electorate of Banks, Commonwealth of Australia, Yang Berusaha, Mr. Khairil Azwan bin Abu Mansur, Head of Postgraduate Diploma in Public Administration Unit, National Institute of Public Administration, Officers of the Postgraduate Diploma in Public Administration Unit, National Institute of Public Administration, and to my fellow administrative and diplomatic officer cadets, good morning, Salam Malaysia Madani, and a very warm welcome to the Next Gen Governance Global Insights Local Aspirations Forum.
Today's forum brings together future Malaysia's public sector leaders and distinguished international representatives to exchange perspective on governance, diplomacy, and global collaboration. It is hoped that today's discussion will inspire meaningful dialogue and strengthen international understanding.
Ladies and gentlemen, the program now proceeds with the welcoming remarks by the cadet representative. Please welcome Cadet Siti Zulaiha binti Deraman to deliver her welcoming remarks.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. His Excellency Dr. Karomuddin Gadoyev, Ambassador of the Republic of Uzbekistan to Malaysia, Embassy of the Republic of Uzbekistan in Malaysia, Mr. Abbas Adil Riza, Trade Representative, Minister Counselor to Malaysia, High Commission of the Republic of Maldives in Malaysia, Mr. Zhe Sun, Federal Member of the Southwestern Sydney Electorate of Banks, Commonwealth of Australia, Mr. Khairil Azwan bin Abu Mansur, Head of Postgraduate Diploma in Public Administration Unit, National Institute of Public Administration, Officer of the Postgraduate Diploma in Public Administration Unit, National Institute of Public Administration, and all my fellow administrative and diplomatic cadets. Good morning and a very warm welcome. On behalf of all cadets, I would like to express our deepest gratitude to all honorable guests for taking the time to join us today. I also would like to extend special thanks to Mr. Nabil Muzaffar, Education Attaché, Education Malaysia, Australia, who is tuning in online all the way from Australia right now. Not forget to our program director, Cadet Megat Shauki, for always give full commitment and hard work to make this program success. So first and foremost, allow me to introduce ourselves to our respected guests. We are the cadets of the Postgraduate Diploma in Public Administration program that proudly known as WIRAJA NUSA cohort. For the past 10 months, we have undergone multiple hurdles and rigorous training to prepare ourselves as a future government officers that will serve our nation. It has been a long, challenging, and rewarding journey for all of us here, and we are now just left 4 days from completing this entire program. Respected guests, it is an honor for us to be able to come together with all the honorable guests here today in this hall as we focus mainly on understanding the distinct challenges and synergy between our nation. By exploring this dynamic, it gives us as cadets invaluable hands-on exposure to handle complex international relations and diplomatic realities in the future. Beyond policy and governance, we hope this experience gives us a clearer picture of the real-world hardship ahead. Wherever we are posted after this, in just 4 days' time, we know the road will not always easy, and the responsibility will be heavy. This program is designed to prepare us mentally and professionally for those challenges. Ultimately, we hope this forum serves as a bridge fostering deeper mutual understanding and building even stronger relationship between our nation for the future. I believe that today we will gain very invaluable lessons that will shape us into more realistic, resilient, and forward-thinking officer ready to turn your attention to the screen to watch a short montage showcasing our journey and highlight throughout this program. Please enjoy.
We arrived with different stories, different roads and different names, never knowing where we'd end up or how much we would change. Days were long beneath the sunlight, hands were busy side by side. Every challenge drew us closer, every moment shaped our lives. No one walks this road alone, no one carries all the weight. Step by step we found a reason, something bigger than ourselves. So raise your voice into the evening sky,
Thank you once again to all honorable guests for your support in making this event a success today. We appreciate your wisdom and presence today. Thank you very much and have a great day ahead.
Thank you to Cadet Zulaiha for the welcoming remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, the program now proceeds with the first session of today's forum. This session features two administrative and diplomatic officers cadets as our panelists who will share their experiences throughout the postgraduate diploma in public administration program, their aspiration as future officer, and their perspective on Malaysia public service. Without further ado, please welcome our moderator, Cadet Ahmad Anas, to the stage.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good morning. And Salam Malaysia Madani. To our distinguished guests, ministry representatives, embassy officials, and my fellow DPA cadets. My name is Anas Almi and I will be your moderator for today. We spend many of our mornings dissecting national policies to daily routines, kupasan isu semasa, or the analysis of current issues. But today, we have the unique opportunity to elevate our discourse into this stage. So, welcome to segment 1, The Journey Begin. Experiences, reflections, and also our aspirations as DPA cadets. So, before we look outward to global insight, we must reflect inward on our local roots. Joining me today, I would like to invite Dr. Hanis and Dr. Dr. Hanis and Mr. Jagantaran onto the stage to discuss our journey and the future we hope to shape the future of civil service in Malaysia. Welcome Dr. Hanis and Mr. Jagantaran. Are you good today? How are you feeling after we have our mess night last night actually?
First of all, Assalamualaikum and a very good morning to His Excellencies and the ambassadors officials. Our Encik Khairil, the head of the unit of the DPA, and my fellow cadets. I feel very, I don't know, my feelings are mixed because this is the very first time that I've been invited to speak here for more than 9 months. So I'm a bit nervous, and then I hope it won't disturb the smoothness of this program.
Okay, inshallah. So Jagan, how are you today? Are you good? After
Yeah,
all
I'm good.
the messiness of mess night?
Yeah, first and foremost, thank you for this wonderful opportunity given. Yeah, same goes to me as well. I've been invited for the first time, here. So I believe both of us can deliver well today, and let's see how it goes.
All right. So for the benefit of our distinguished international guests and embassy officials joining us today, allow me to provide a little bit more of context on the platform that unite us here. So the postgraduate diploma in public administration, or we call it DPA program, conducted by the National Institute of Public Administration, INTAN, is the apex training ground for Malaysia's elite civil service scheme, the administrative and diplomatic officer, or in Malay, usually the acronym is in PTD, Pegawai Takbir and Diplomatic. So spending months of our rigorous academic dynamic, macroeconomic policy analysis, leadership tasks based on the montage just now, and strategic field attachments, this program actually serves as the definitive crucible that transforms selected talents into strategic policymakers. So it equips us not just to run the administrative machinery of the government, but to act as the primary catalyst for national development and global diplomacy. So before we begin further, I would like to invite our panelists, Dr. Hanis and also Mr. Jagan Taran. Is it okay how would you like to be addressed to Mr. Jagan Taran? Is it okay for me to call you just Jagan, like we used to outside of this program, or your full name, Mr. Jagan Taran?
I believe Jagan is fine.
Okay, I will call you Jagan. Is it okay?
It's okay.
All right. So before we begin further, I would like to invite our panelists to give an insight actually of their life before they being PTD cadets. So I would like to start with Dr. Anis.
Thank you, Anas, for the invitation. Good morning again, and I'm so nervous. So I am Nur Hanis binti Muhammad Hanafi, a PTD cadets undergoing the DPA, Diploma in Public Administration at Intan. Previously, I was a postdoctoral research at Environmental Research Institute located in Terengganu for 3 years. So during my research, and I think during my time at the Research Institute, I found that not many, but I think there's found a few things that I think that the Research Institute and the government should align their policies. And then I think from what I've gained through my experience there, and then I think. After that, this is where I want to be as a part of the government services that can improve the service to the people. So I started my PTD experience here, for all of us here. When was it? September last year. So during almost 10 months we're here, there's a lot of things that we have learned, and there's a lot of things that we have gained through our lessons and also sharing sessions. We have a lot of programs that involve us with all the governments. I think this is a very good experience, or it's very good insight for us when we aspiring to be a good public servants in the future. Thank you.
I believe the spirit of changing the nation had driven Dr. Hanis to be interviewed and entering the DPA program. So now I invite Jagan to introduce himself.
Very good morning. And first and foremost, I'd like to say thank you to everyone for giving me this opportunity. My name is Jagendran Raj Mahagendran. I'm 25 years old. So my background of study is I did my degree in policing, global securities and intelligences. So before joining the PTD service, I worked as a private investigator or a detective. So basically being a detective is totally a different page compared to PTD. But I always had this intention in me of serving the country. So initially, I thought of joining the police force or joining the military. That's when once I realized being a PTD is where I can contribute more to this country. And I made the decision of joining this service. And throughout this 10 months journey, which we call DPA, this DPA has actually shaped me into a better man. So I believe I've made the right choice, and I'm proud to be a DPA cadet today. So that's all about me.
What an interesting background, actually, Jagan. I hope I am not being ran on background checks before this. So let's start with our round one, the why and the reality. So the foundation of our presence here in Intan as DPA cadets, the DPA journey is actually very intense and transformative. Based on the montage, we can saw that we have been trained to be in bomber or police. The bomber is a fireman training. and the police training, and also the military training. So looking back at all of our time in the program so far, what actually drew you to be in the service, PTD service, and what has been the single most profound shift in how you view the responsibilities of a public servant since you began? So we may start with Dr. Hanis first.
Thank you again, Anas. So as I previously mentioned, that before this I was a researcher, and then I don't really have a good not a good relationship, but I don't really have a detailed relationship with the public officers. Because by doing research, you actually don't really have a in-touch relationship with the public servants. And from that, as I mentioned before, and also as my fellow cadets mentioned before, that we have a lot of trainings in our public departments, public service departments, such as the firefighter department and the police department, or also an army department. So when I first entered this program, the PTD cadets, I was not expecting that we have to be physically fit first, but because due to my age, actually, I also don't have the expectation that I'm able to pass all the physical trainings. And then I think that the most challenging thing is that except for that physical training, is that how we always have to do meeting new peoples, and we are trained to think fast, and how we can solve whatever the issues that we are having. And then I think these programs really train us on how we make the decision fast and fairly. And by doing that, I think, although I learned some things from the research, but as my what do you call it? I think this is the thing that I help most, that we always have to learn. So whenever I pick up a new knowledge, then the other thing, then I have to pick up another new knowledge. So I think that's the thing. Thank you.
Yeah, so when we look into responsibilities here, so being a PTD, policymakers, we actually uphold responsibility to a very major extent. So, because we policymakers, we make crucial decisions in the ministries, and these crucial decisions basically affects millions and also affects the nation of our country. So, sometimes it also affects the sovereignty as well. So, my background is more on security, so I usually think in terms of security as well. But when joining the PTD, that's when it opened up my mind that the thinking scale they basically made it wider. To make it in simple terms, they train us in a way where we should make crucial decisions in a short time, at the same time, to come up with ideas which we can't imagine. And this training period also shaped us in terms of our confidence level as well. And in the context of responsibilities, I once thought of joining the military. Then I was like, that was my dream. At one point, I realized where I need to do something for Malaysia. So what can I do something for Malaysia where I make a single decision, but that one decision will affect millions and will affect my country and develop my nation, make it a better nation. So what actually can I do? When me brainstorming with myself, that's when I realized I should join the PTD. So the journey in PTD, where we undergo training in PDRM, police, military, firefighters, and also OBS, basically for me, they enhance my mental strength and give me the capacity to think better, and also gives us the prior experience and sacrifices how these officers are working outside. So for me, I believe PTD upholds one of the biggest responsibilities in this country. So that's my input.
That's such an insightful response, and the essence of what I heard from Dr. Hanis is about picking up new knowledge by being in the service, by being in the program, DPA program. And for Jagan, it's about the decision that can impact lives. So let's move on to the round two, our core competence. So announcing the arrival of Mr. Morgan O'Brien, the Counselor of Public Diplomacy from the Embassy of the United States of America. So welcome, Mr. Morgan, to this program. So now we'll move on. So with the arrival of our guests, we are going for the round two, core competencies and impact of DPA cadets. So as a future PTD officer, Dr. Hanis, embarking on your upcoming placement, what actually the specific legacy that you hope to establish during your first posting after this?
Thank you, Anas. For the legacy, I aspire to have a meaningful improvement or contribution that can continue that continue to benefit for the organization or for our people. So as my time might not be long as a public servant, but I think during my upcoming few years, I think I hope to leave a thing that people will memorize me or will remember me as a person that can continue to improve some of the, if not all, and some of the policies that we can enhance for the betterment of our people and also for our country, so that every people in the country that can have they can gain the valuable impact that we the public servants are giving. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hanis, for the response. So I believe from your perspective, it is about policy enhancements. So for Jagan, do you have any expectations on being the PTD officers after this? Because the public expectation on us is evolving quite rapidly from the social media that we know that we are being criticized. And so what are your aspirations of being a PTD officer?
See, not only PTD, no matter what we do, there'll always be in a context where we receive positive and also negative comments. So for me, the thought that we have here is more important. So these negative comments are just, we can just take it as respective criticism. And we just look forward and just focus on our contribution, what we can do best for the nations. So that's what we should look into. So that will be my input.
So based on the Jagan, the essence that I caught is that it is about being the best version of yourself and being doing what we can do the most during the situation. So there is a change of schedule. So I would like to invite both of our panelists onto the floor to watch the cultural performance.
Thank you to our moderator and panelists for such an engaging discussion. Before we proceed with our next session, we invite you to take a moment to experience one of the many cultural treasures of Malaysia, the Magu Natib dance of the Murut people from Sabah, Malaysian Borneo. Ladies and gentlemen, please sit back and enjoy the performance.
From the heart of Borneo, where majestic rainforests stretch beyond the horizon and mighty rivers press life into the land, embellishes a rich tapestry of culture, tradition, and heritage. Each graceful movement tells a story of courage, unity, gratitude, and the enduring spirit of the indigenous communities who have preserved this tradition through generations. Ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy the captivating performance of the Borneo dance.
Thank you for that wonderful performance. The Magunatip dance we have just witnessed embodies the value of agility, precision, rhythm, and teamwork. It was once associated with harvest celebration and important community gathering. Every movement reflects perfect coordination, skill, and the vibrant spirit of Borneo's rich cultural heritage. Once again, let us give our performers a warm round of applause for the spectacular performance.
Ladies and gentlemen, the program now continues with the second session featuring distinguished diplomatic representatives from 4 countries. Conducted in a hybrid format, this session offers valuable international perspectives on governance, diplomacy, and global cooperation in addressing contemporary challenges. Moderators for this session are Cadet Anas Almi and Cadet Amirul Abra. Please welcome our moderators on stage.
Testing. Mic 1, 2, 3. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning. Salam Malaysia Madani and salam WIRAJA. I hope you guys are well. I know it's a quite entertaining and also magnificent night for us yesterday. But today we have more bigger session, a more bigger perspective on horizon that we would like to achieve, which will have an exchange with the lines of our very diplomats and ambassador over here. So let's give some best energy for them and for us, and let's learn something from today. Anas.
Yeah, before that, bro, let me introduce our esteemed panelists that will be joining us physically. So the first one is His Excellency Dr. Karomiddin Gadoyev, Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of the Republic of Uzbekistan to Malaysia. Our second panelist is the Honorable Abbas Adil Riza, Trade Representative, Minister Councillor, High Commission of the Republic of Maldives in Malaysia. And then our third panelist is the Honorable Morgan O'Brien, Councillor for Public Diplomacy, Embassy of the United States of America in Malaysia. Joining us by the medium of online is Honorable Jacinth, Federal Member for the South-Western Sydney Electorate of Banks, Commonwealth of Australia. So Amirul Abror, for the first session, please lead the session because we are incredibly privileged to be joined by such a distinguished lineup of international representatives.
I think we don't need more introductions. Without further ado, let's welcome our panelists on stage with us. Gentlemen, how are you? Can we start with Ambassador? How are you today? And how World Cup has been treating you all the night?
You know, I'm very happy to be there. Because, why? Ask me. First of all, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Dear cadets, dear panelists, the colleagues. First of all, thank you very much for inviting us to such very important discussions today. The topic is very important. Why I'm very happy? Because I'm already 32 years in public service, but before the public service, for 7 years, I worked in Academy of Sciences. And during my public service, I combined my academic background with the public service, and for 7 years, I worked as a teacher in Public Service Academy under the President of Uzbekistan. And therefore, I'm so happy to see such an auditorium today.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ambassador. How about our gentleman here from Maldives, Mr. Abbas?
Assalamu alaikum. It gives me really happiness to see especially the young guys coming into the government, public service. Not that I'm too old, but I've given all my hair to the government, public service. For the past 18 years, I've been in government services in different capacities. And it gives me great pleasure to come and be part of this very prestigious institution and very prestigious graduation. Good luck for Monday, all of you.
This is your first time at Intan?
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much for coming here. And how about you, Mr. Morgan? How are you? And, you know, not going in advance to the finals or even the semifinals. What are your thoughts on that?
We were the hosts, though, right?
Yeah.
Who watched the World Cup in here? How did we do? How did America do as the host? It was great. Oh, yeah. You guys, what diplomats you all are, you have to say that. First of all, I just want to say what an honor it is to be up here on stage with the distinguished fellow members of the Diplomatic Corps, Mr. Ambassador. It's good to meet you. And Mr. Adil Riza, it's great to see you again. Also, it's an honor to be up here in front of all of you, the future of the Malaysian Diplomatic Corps. A real honor. I love Malaysia so much so this is, Salam WIRAJA. I love Malaysia so much. This is my second time here. So you know that I'm not, I'm telling the truth, because I was here from 17 to 20. My wife and I had a baby here. So Anak Malaysia, my son John Paul, he's back. And then when I had the opportunity to come back here, I didn't even ask my wife. I accepted on the spot. I hung up the phone and I told her, I said, honey, we're moving to Malaysia. And she said yes. How great is that? And it's great because of people like you, right? You make this a meaningful place to serve. My work here is impactful. I get to represent, I have to feel this way, I get to represent the greatest country on earth, but I get to do it in country 1A, that's right there with us, with such energetic people, and I can't wait to have this discussion today. Thank you for giving me some of your time.
Let's just have a rapid fire questions, all right? We start with you. All right. Nasi lemak or roti canai?
Oh, not nasi lemak.
Okay.
Pak Nasser on AirAsia is my favorite. Argue with the wall.
Have you tried burung hantu, the newest one? One of the popular ones.
Sounds scary. Take me there after.
Yeah. All right. Okay, Ambassador. Teh tarik or Milo Ice? The drink.
I very much like. Very much like the process of the preparing.
Oh.
Yeah.
You like when they're doing this?
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Abbas, you like Mama or Kedai Tom Yum?
I like Mama.
Why I ask that question? Because most of the tourists coming here, or expats coming here, and when they go back to the country, they said the one thing that they really miss the most is the Mama environment where you can find food 24/7. So, thank you for confirming that. Right? Okay, let's move on to the serious question of the floor today. I would like to open with saying that as much as it's very important to discuss on international politics and governance today, the very big points that we'd like to meet here is how the public service at every each of the country works. And for the next generation of the public service of Malaysia, we would like to learn from the best and from the great experience that you have been experiencing before. So every country has its own system. We know history shape it, the people shape it, the international institutions within our country that drive our system. But then we share one same goal, right? Every country shared one same goal, is to win the FIFA World Cup. No, I'm just kidding. Is to serve the best for our people, right? So let's begin the questions to Ambassador. I only know Uzbekistan with two things. First, during Asia, Sukan Asia, Asian sports, Taekwondo, Uzbekistan is very powerful. And the second is one of the athletes, Medina Manarpova, is very beautiful. So, but then when I did some readings on Uzbekistan, there's a major public service reforms. Yeah? From what I read, the digitalization of public service, the merit-based recruitment and international transformations. What can you tell us about these reforms? And is it easier for us to do the changes, or actually, maintaining the long-established system that we have in the country? So, enlighten us on that. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. It's very important because Uzbekistan is a very young, independent country. If this year Malaysia will have a 69 years old, we will have a 35 years old. And we were during the 75 years under the Soviet regime, and we are now entirely building the new society in our country. And especially the last 9-10 years, we are holding the huge reforms in our country under the leadership of our President, His Excellency Shavkat Mirziyoyev. And you can ask me, we continued from the Soviet time, or we built entirely the new system. We have such proverb in Uzbek, not to destroy the old house before the building the new one. And we used it sometime, our old building, but beginning from the 2016, we are very fast building the entirely the new system. So those institutions which had some trust among the population, we made some reforms. We put some digital transformation and some new technologies, the transparency issues, and etc., etc. Those institutions that has not among the population some trust. Of course, we instead they built the new one. For example, we didn't have such agency for the development of public service. Recent years, we established it in our country for the preparing the new generation of the public officers in our country. And of course, we established a national agency for perspective projects. It was created to regulate emerging sectors such as the capital markets and the digital assets and etc. And of course, we now have a 760 the government services available online. Before it was on the paper, you have to come to some institutions and stay on the turning and lost a lot of your time. It's the same was with the business. For example, to register your business, you need more than 500 different procedures. Now we have a single window, and you can register your business in our country during the 1 hour, and during the 3 working days, your business becomes the functioning.
It's more fast, right?
Yes, of course.
It's more easier. And it's a very interesting because we here in Malaysia also are going some through reforms, like the Malaysia Madani. And under the Malaysia Madani for public service, we have ARPA, known as the Public Service Reform Agenda. And one of the key points that you highlighted there is to break down the bureaucracy, the red tape. So our Secretary of State very pressing on that point because we want to make sure our delivery of service is now faster, it's now convenient to the people. They don't need to go in line or take the process for a very long time. So actually we shared a very same experience, and congratulations on the very good initiative and transformations. Let's give a round bit of applause to Uzbekistan. And some of the very important key points there, which is, don't burn your house. Right? So we go by, actually slow burn lah, actually, right?
Not to destroy.
Not to destroy, right? Take a bit of process to gain the trust. So trust is one of the key important things that our Prime Minister always said in his speech. Trust of the people, trust of the rakyat, trust of the public service, and that is the mandate that we have to carry for the next Monday when we first day report into our ministry. Thank you so much, Mr. Ambassador. All right, so let's go to Mr. Abbas. Maldives. We know Maldives is a great island. It's a very beautiful. But in terms of the governing structure, I personally am not aware of what's actually happening in Maldives. But I think the tourism is a big portion of it, right? Although your leadership at Maldives Inland Revenue Authority is similar to our LSGN, Maldives Customs Service and National Tender Board, you played a very important role in modernizing some of the country's most important public institutions. Malaysia likewise pursuing reform to strengthen governance, digitalizations, and public sector performance. So, based on Maldives' experience, what are the specific governance practices or institutional reforms that you believe Malaysia could realistically adopt to enhance our efficiency, transparency, and public trust while remain suited to our administration framework? Yeah, please. It's a very long question.
Thank you. It's a handful. Thank you very much. Let me first take you to the Maldives, right? Do you know where Maldives lie? Geography. Excellency Ambassador is a geography professor, I think. Maldives is in the middle of Indian Ocean, right? We don't have any land borders. Like Peninsular Malaysia is like 131 square kilometer, 1,000 square kilometer. Maldives is like that, around 100,000 square kilometer in the middle of ocean. And only 1% of that is land, right? Only 1%. We live in geographically scattered area in 197 islands where people live. And Alhamdulillah, we are like one nation, one people, one country, you know. We have a history of over 2,000 years old. And we are very lucky, we have never been colonized. So our administrations just started like, since independence, our administration is just like 61 years old. The systems, actually, the modern governance systems is just very quite old, like 18 years old, right? The first 41 years of Maldives independence, it's on basic achievement of basic standards, getting out of the least developed country list, like establishing the basic rule of law, health and safety, education. Like, for example, I am the very first chartered accountant of Maldives. Still very young.
You are the first?
Yeah, the very first.
Wow.
The very first PhD doctor is still alive. You know? So, and the majority of the Maldivians are graduate from Malaysia. So, just to get an idea of our governance system, and not to rush in any way, since you are just graduating from here. There's a long way to go for us, even, and for you guys as well. We are entering into the area of actually statecraft, like the guys who on stage mentioned, like you're building each block by block, you know. Every day, whatever we do is going to impact the nation. So, Maldives, the basic limitation, the basic fundamental governance issue is geography. Because we are scattered, the 197 rural villages, like you in Malaysia, you call kampung. So every kampung, every city in Maldives is separated by ocean, right? So you can, the only way to go up until recently is by boat. You know, you have to travel. And if the weather not perceived. So the public services, the main limitation for public services in Maldives, when it comes for administrative angle, it's the geography. So digitalization is a compulsory for Maldives, right? So Alhamdulillah, after 2008, there have been many changes in the Maldives. First, we had our first multi-party democratic election in 2008. And then it gave the opportunity for embarking into the modern governance mechanisms. So the very first decisions was taken like in 2009. Our electricity, water, storage, basic facilities were nationalized. It was brought under government, and then the new constitution mandated it a government service to have the electricity, water, and storage. And 2010, we introduced our modern revenue system, which I was part of as well. So 2010, we saw the income tax, GST, tourism GST implemented in Maldives. And digitalization actually made it quite smooth. And every decision during that, like for example, stakeholder involvement, conducting a very smooth transition, was only able because of our young mindset at the time. You know, like you guys, when you go, you will have plenty of energy, plenty of foresight to fight this type of changes. You know, 2011 we had our very first local government elections. You know, 2011 we implemented the very first local government elections, local councils. And 2012 we had the very first time in the Maldives history we expanded tourism to all the atoll, from the north to the south. Up until 2012, it was only centered in the central Malay region of. So I'm just telling Maldives from the governance perspective how challenging it will be the last 18 years. It would be a roller coaster change. You know, there is political change, there is administrative changes coming in. And on top of all these things, the academics of Maldives actually played a very important part. The guys like you know, graduating from public administration institutions, actually played the crucial part of all this. You know, I was just one person in the system, all right? And change being brought under pressure from the environment and then delivering it, it's a very positive, life-changing experience. Especially in Maldives, we have made like today, after many years of implementation, today we have the single government window operating. Everybody, like 97% will file taxes online. It's all online. And 99% of all revenue is collected online. Okay. All right? And the government single window for citizen, we call it e-FAS. FAS in our language, local language, is pass. It's just electronic pass. So through your own electronic pass, that means through my electronic pass, wherever I am in the world, I can apply for my identification, driver license, marriage certificate, everything, anything, birth certificate, health insurance. Single window in terms of individual. Everything you are dealing, citizen dealing, has to be done through this gateway. So it's working perfectly fine, alhamdulillah. And then for the commercial activities, we have trade-in, which connects all the import, export, shipping, everything into one window. And we have Invest Maldives, which is a single window for the entire world. Anyone interested to see the opportunities available in Maldives, we have a single window called Invest Maldives. And then we have Visit Maldives. Anyone interested in visiting Maldives, we have. So basically, this journey is wonderful. What you are going to embark on Monday will be part of your journey. Every country has its own way of governance, as you mentioned just now. Yeah. And it is very true, this change, adapting to change, is the key, I hope, in this new environment.
Yeah, like I very like when you said about, you know, the government spends a lot on trainings, on educations, and it's very close to our hearts because our governments always said that education is very important, and not just by saying. Every year our budget, the highest budget allocated is to our education, second is for our healthcare, and our Prime Minister used to say, in order to increase or to live up your social mobility, education is the key, and hence why, even though we have degree, we have masters, we have PhD, my friends over here, but in order for you to get service to the public service, you still need to enter another institution just to learn and educate you. That shows you showcase that education is in Malaysia, and as well for Malaysia, it's very important for countries that are developing. And thank you so much for sharing that with us. So remember, guys, you know, someday when we do a policy or some initiative, education, the educated part is very, very important. So let's move on to
Abror.
Yes.
Before we proceed to pose any further questions for Mr. Morgan, I think you forgot something.
Yeah.
I think you forgot to ask Mr. or the Honourable Zesent about the rapid fire question about he like nasi lemak or teh tarik.
Oh, okay,
through the
okay,
online
okay,
media
okay,
Zoom.
okay.
And I also would like to acknowledge the presence of Mr. Nabil from Consulate Malaysia, Sydney, in the online Zoom platform.
Yeah. Welcome, Mr. Zishun, and also Mr. Nabil from Consulate Malaysia, Sydney. I'll come to you after this, but let me get Mr. Morgan here very quickly. You know, Malaysia is Westminster country. We adopt system from British, and we're still maintaining some of the parts in terms of administrations in our governance system. And unlike America, you use presidential system. The way of appointment of senior government officers is different. Somehow it depends on who is the president, who is the government, right? So based on your experience, do you see the system as a strength and challenges of both? What do you see the strength and challenges of both approaches in terms of policy continuity, accountability, and government ability to implement its agenda? You know, it's very important because someday we think that the system will evolve, it will change, it will transform. So it's very important for us to take the key takeaways, and in order for us to do some debt reforms, we have to learn from the best. Yeah, so please.
Well, there is no best way, right? You have to do what works for you, right? And so there's a difference between both of our governments. But one question I want to ask the folks out in the audience right now, you talked about education being very important, and that I didn't realize that was the #1 budget item in Malaysia.
Yeah,
that's great. How many folks out there are U.S. Educated, whether that's high school or...
We have one cadet here.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Yeah, he's from University of Michigan.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
They won the basketball national championship this year, so... Wolverines.
Only have one.
There's only one? Oh,
Yeah.
okay, all right. Well,
Huh? Who?
Oh.
Hafiz? Oh, okay.
Well, yeah, Hafiz is from Queens. Right? Yeah, that's... I met Hafiz on the way in, so we actually grew up like 20 minutes from each other, if you can believe that. Small world, right? All right, so Westminster system, right? Parliamentary, you're tied to the Prime Minister. Most of your ministers have to be elected officials, right? And what this is a push and a pull versus our system, right, where we have an executive branch. Who knows how many branches of government there are in the United States? Any? It's so funny, right? Like they beat this into us when we're kids going to school. As Americans, there are 3 branches that we have. We have the judicial branch, right? That's our Supreme Court. We have the legislative branch. That's what mirrors the Parliament here, where it's bicameral. Does everybody know what that means?
There's two systems. Yeah.
So we have a Senate, there are 100 senators, and then we have a House of Representatives. There are 435 representatives. Those are determined by population. So bigger states have more representatives, but every state has 2 senators. They exist more for approving our budgets and advising and consenting. The Senate are the ones that confirm our ambassadors, they confirm the president's nominees, they affirm our treaties. But where I sit versus where you all sit is different in that we fall in the executive branch. And do you know who the leader of the executive branch is? Can anybody guess? He was here a couple months ago. President Trump, right? All right, so President Trump's my leader in the United States, and in Malaysia, the leader of Malaysia is Prime Minister Anwar, and they were dancing together on the runway. And I think that's a beautiful metaphor for both systems working for each side, right? In your system, you have folks that are career civil servants. They are the bedrock foundation of the different ministries here. They are the ones that are the institutional knowledge and the institutional memory of the organization. In ours, we come in and bring a lot of adaptability, right, with political appointees that come in to lead in the State Department. We don't necessarily have all political ambassadors. Many of them are now. But we have some career civil servants that rise to the top there. But we have leadership like our Secretary of State, our Secretary of War, our Secretary of Commerce, that are all political appointees that have to be approved by the Senate. Now, it's an interesting dance between the two sides. And if I were to, again, what works for you doesn't necessarily have to work for us and vice versa. And it isn't a one-size-fits-all thing. There are almost 10 times the amount of Americans as there are Malaysians. We have a land-wise a lot bigger population. We straddle both oceans in the United States, the Atlantic and the Pacific. I grew up on we grew up, we're Atlantic boys, but I guess you grew up on the Atlantic and the Pacific. So there are just different concerns, but the key takeaways that we could do here are diversification, right? Figuring out ways to expand your skill set. At the State Department where I work, right, where the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is called the State Department in the American system, they let me do different things every couple of years. And one of my jobs, I got to be at the National Basketball Association. Does anybody like basketball here? All right. Yeah, okay. The Michigan guy does. I got to work at the NBA. All right, well, why would I work at the NBA? For the reaction that I just got in this room right now, right? Where you follow this American league, and we want to export that brand abroad. We want to show American excellence through basketball. We want international players to play in the NBA. There hasn't been a Malaysian yet, but hopefully we get one soon. But there's Yao Ming, though. Who knows who Yao Ming is, right? Yeah. They figured that Yao Ming was worth $800 million, so 3.2 billion ringgit to the one man, right? So finding the next Yao Ming, bringing him into the league, whether that's from Africa, the next Chinese Yao Ming or something like that, this is a way to kind of diversify the skill set and bring that back to the State Department. I would encourage you all to look for ways to diversify your own skill sets throughout your career. Look for opportunities outside that soda straw that you're going to be in, and look for opportunities to get smarter on other things, because that's a great way to balance the adaptability versus continuity side of the house that I was talking about before.
I'm happy to get some of the points there where we share the same kind of system, even though we have different kind of election process or appointment process, where we also have the judiciary part, we have the executive part, and also we have the legislative part, where we have upper house and the lower house, right? And NBA is part of the branding of America. Right. I only know Stephen Curry and Michael Jordan.
That's great.
I'm surprised that soccer is not part of the
Well, I mean, sports diplomacy is a huge part of what we do also, and you all have seen over the last 40 days, America was very happy to take the global stage. We are less than 2 years now. Malaysia, unfortunately, didn't compete in the World Cup, but you are coming to Los Angeles in 2028
Yeah.
And guess we're gonna actually have squash in the Olympics for the first time, right?
But the queen of squash already retired. Right?
Well, you had the goat
Yeah,
of squash,
yeah.
right? Who knows Nicole David, right?
Yeah.
But this year, and actually we had Lee Chong-wei come to the embassy the other day for his visa. He was going to Los Angeles, not to compete, but was he going to compete like in a Masters tour or something? But we hope that Malaysia will win their first gold medal in Los Angeles.
Hopefully, fingers crossed. Yeah. Okay, thank you so much for the explanations. I'm very happy because as a person who admires some history and also international politics, this gives me a broader horizon on how countries are actually governed and improving their systems. You know, apa ni is always my fumble words lah, guys. Apa ni? Okay. All right, so we are going to fly to Australia there. So what time is it now? No, sorry, I don't not familiar with the timing there. Mr. Soon, I guess.
4:25.
4:25.
4:25. Middle of the day.
Oh, okay. So, how do you like the very question I would like to ask you first is, just now we asked nasi lemak or roti canai, teh tarik or Milo ice, and etc. But for you it's very specific because I heard that you are very familiar with Malaysia. Do you still like durian?
Well, firstly, it's wonderful to be able to join you all this morning. Selamat pagi.
Selamat pagi.
And it's an honor to be able to join you at the National Institute for Public Administration alongside my esteemed colleagues from Uzbekistan, the Maldives, and obviously the United States. But perhaps most importantly, the cadets, the PTD cadets. To answer your question, I 100% love durian, and I'm very jealous that I know there's currently a bit of an oversupply of durian in Malaysia. That means it is very readily available, but also very cost effective. So I'm very jealous that I can't be in Malaysia with you enjoying plenty of durian. But to answer your question, I don't think I could choose between nasi lemak, roti canai. I did have teh tarik yesterday, but I have to admit, one of the ones we can't get here in Australia is soup kambing. So I do miss that, and I will be sure to have some of that next time I'm back in Malaysia. And you were referring to before, Malaysia holds a very special place in my heart because I was born in Selangor, in Shah Alam. And I still have plenty of family all across Malaysia, despite living here and sitting in the parliament here in Australia.
Later when you come to Malaysia, you let us know. We take you to eat soup kambing, all right? So, we both are countries that adopt the system of Westminster, right? Malaysia and Australia, we use we take the Westminster system, and both of our public admin system is based on career-based merit, right? So, despite these common foundations, we have shared experience. The administrative culture in both countries has evolved differently. In your view, key factors drove this evolution in Australia. In your views, all right, despite of these changes, what is a key factor that drove this evolution in Australia to see the differences between the public service in Malaysia and also in Australia? Can you enlighten us on that part?
Of course. So I guess I bring a particularly unique perspective to it because I was previously a civil servant myself, but now I am a member of parliament, so sit on the political side or the legislative arm of the government administration system. I guess one of the things that we have in Australia is similar to Malaysia. We are a federalist model, so we have the federal government that administers policy and programs at a national level, but then we also have provincial or state governments. And then on top of that, we also have local governments. So we have 3 tiers of public service here in Australia. That presents some challenges sometimes to make sure that the three tiers of government are working side by side, hand in hand to deliver programs and policy. But it's also a reflection of Australia's history because when Australia set up as a country, it was really emphasising the states' rights, and that was part of the agreement when the Commonwealth of Australia came together. So there's always a bit of a balancing act between which tier of government potentially has the most impact and influence. And I know in Malaysia you have different tiers of government as well, and we share some of those challenges as well. I guess a couple of things that I did want to mention in that context, though, is this is why no matter where you get posted as a cadet after your PTD experience is understanding the details of implementation. Because a lot of the time, particularly when you're in central government or the federal government here in Australia, you come up with a strategic vision of how a policy should be implemented. But the challenge and sometimes the success of that policy platform is heavily reliant on the details of implementation. And you require then to understand how that policy is implemented by the provincial governments, but then also the local council governments. Because you may have the strategic vision, right? But if you're not careful in working very closely with your implementing colleagues at the state and local council level, it means a lot of the time the success of your policy may not be as high as you would like it to be. The second one I thought I'd share with you is the balancing act between regulation, but then also letting businesses in our communities kind of thrive. And I think one of those areas that we're wrangling here in Australia with at the moment is one that countries all around the world are wrangling with, and that is the continued use of artificial intelligence. So we just had our Prime Minister last week talked about the introduction of a national artificial intelligence framework, as well as a national AI standards. And the reason we've approached it in this way is to try and set some expectations as to how companies will use and implement AI, whilst making sure we're not constraining its use. And the reason why I highlight this as an example, because it's a great I guess, great focus on getting that balance right as civil servants to make sure that you're both regulating appropriately, but also not constraining business and growth in your economy, particularly where there are new innovations.
Thank you so much, Mr. Zisun. Because if I can conclude some of the points you said about data is very important. The continuity of the policy to ensure that our people can get benefit, the fullest benefit of it, and also keep evolving with the new technology and have our own, sovereignty in terms of controlling the AI, the national framework, etc. I think there are some key points that we could learn here from Australia, which is to ensure that we use, even though we have a strategic plan of it, we depend on the data and see how public perceive the policy, because successful policy is not just nice on the paper, but the acceptance of our very people in this country. Thank you so much, Mr. Zisun. So I pass the next baton to Anas. He's eager now to ask questions. Oh, you have?
Yeah, I changed the battery for the mic.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, Abror, for passing the baton to me while I'm not so ready and I'm nervous right now. But we are moving to our second premise. We heard a little bit about treaties from the sharing by Honorable Morgan. So now for the premise number 2, our session number 2, is about international treaties and domestic impact. In an increasingly interconnected world, participation in international treaties actually can be really challenging because it's no longer about a matter of diplomacy. It can have implication for domestic policy, implicated onto economic development and also national security, and of course, public well-being. So, although every country seeks to safeguard their national interests, the process actually entering into international agreements according to each country political systems and also considerations of governance structure, what have been we discussed just now, and also about institutional checks and balances. So these differences actually can raise important question, because whether entering into international treaties, we should put the greater emphasis on what? Whether we should put the emphasis on decision-making efficiency, democratic oversight, or policy continuity. So I would like to ask the first question to His Excellency Dr. Karomuddin. So because Uzbekistan is actually already emerged from increasingly as an important bridge between Europe and also Central Asia through renewed regional connectivity and economic reforms. So the first question is, beyond all the trade and investment, what role will Central Asia play in shaping future energy and the security dynamics?
Thank you for this question. It's a very key question, because Central Asia, especially Uzbekistan, which locates in the center of Central Asia, it's like a bridge between Asia and Europe. And if you will look a decade ago, in Central Asia, there was some geopolitical competition. But now we are all countries trying to integrate into the regional cooperation. During the very short time, by the initiative of the President of Uzbekistan, His Excellency Shavkat Mirziyoyev, we can resolve all our regional problems. We had a decade ago, we had a huge border problems, water problems, some land problems, and even the policy problems. Being the neighbors, we had even between Uzbekistan and Tajikistan, or Uzbekistan and Turkmenistan, we had some visa regime. Now we resolved all our political problems, and now Central Asia becoming the most important the bridge on connectivity between Asia and Europe, because our region and our country is located in the main crossroads between Asia, Middle East, Europe, South Africa, and the whole Eurasia. For example, if you will look Trans-Caspian, the international transport route, or we are calling it the Middle Corridor. Middle Corridor now it's becoming the more important, especially within the Chinese initiative, One Road, One Belt, One Road, which includes more than 65 countries. It's if you will look the ancient Great Silk Road. We are now reviving Great Silk Road because it also from ancient time connected the Asia with the Europe. And of course, security is vitally important for our region. We are neighboring with Afghanistan, where during the 45 years already we have an uncertainty here. And of course now we are trying also to help to our neighboring country to establish a more stable situation in Afghanistan, because the security in Afghanistan is a secure Central Asia. Secure Central Asia is a secure Asia and Europe, because connectivity is vitally important. Now we are working on the new transport corridor, which will go from Malaysian Perlis through Thailand, Laos, and central China to Central Asia, and further through the Trans-Caspian international transport route to Europe. The transportation of the goods through this transport corridor is shorter for 15-20 days comparing with the you will go through the sea. And therefore, we hope this new transport corridor will become very important. Of course, what Malaysia, for Malaysia, there is some interest. There, I see several opportunities. I already mentioned it's first of all logistics and transport connectivity. Second, renewable energy and green technologies. We have a huge solar, wind, and hydro power the potential. You have a very nice technologies in your country. We can combine our potential. Third, Islamic finance and halal industries. And now we are, by the assistance of the Malaysian friends, establishing the halal the ecosystem in our country. Of course, for the first time, the Islamic Finance Forum gone out from Malaysia to Uzbekistan, to the land of great Imam Bukhari. Last September, we hold first the Islamic Finance Forum in Tashkent, because your country is the main base of Islamic finance and Islamic banking. And we are, I can say, on 80-90% using the Malaysian experience on establishing of our Islamic finance system. Yes, and there are many other opportunities on trade and investment. Before, we didn't have any serious investment package between Uzbekistan and Malaysia. Now I can, when I just came 2.5 years ago, we couldn't say even about 50 or 100 million USD investment between our countries. Now I can very easily can say about the billions.
I think the Tashkent meeting is very important. You know, our Prime Minister updated on Instagram. He went to Uzbekistan and he announced some of the deals. And I'm very happy to see that our country now have surveyed a very strong ties than before. And we hopefully to see the continuity of the relationship. So nice.
I believe based on His Excellency response, it is about the revival of international trade routes and also while managing the internal securities issue between the region of Central Asia. So now we move on to Mr. Abbas. So as the current trade representative and Minister Councillor to Malaysia, your daily focus now is exactly where international diplomacy meets domestic economic policy. So Malaysia has actually entered the major trade agreements of the CPTPP, the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership, and also RCEP, the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, because we want to expand the market access and also attract investments. However, these agreements also raise concerns about the business of local SMEs. So from your experience, about how should actually public administrators strike a balance between fulfilling Malaysia's international trade commitments while also safeguarding the domestic commitments and also economic resilience and the interests of local business?
I think it's a very fundamental issue that will touch everyone here, everyone's life here, right? So in government, you will hear many terms like that. CPT, TPP, many different terminologies like this. But it's all about understanding the basic concept. Malaysia is a manufacturing country, right? So for a manufacturing economy to strive requires no borders, the better, right? But on the other hand, striking the balance is like most public does not understand the details of these type of agreements that come into effect. So for public administrators, like the civil service, for all the governments, the key is reduce the misconception. Because every trade agreement that you enter has balancing mechanisms. For example, let's say if you look into the CPTPP or RCEP, all these free trade agreements, they have exemptions for national security provisions, balance of payment difficulties. So, from the public administrative perspective is to inspire, motivate the local government, the local entrepreneurs. I think the Malaysia Madani government is doing a wonderful job. Actually, the 13th Malaysia plan is a good example of it. I hope all of you here have gone through that, right? 13th Malaysia plan. Every government official should, right? Should. It captures the essence of all these, how the public administration to deal with this next 5 to 10 years, all right? So basically, the economic restructuring, improving well-being of the citizens, and strengthening good governance. So all this falls into, in line with Malaysia's engagement with other broader organizations. The ASEAN region, it is gone beyond ASEAN region to Trans-Pacific partnerships now. So the engagement, for example, understanding what MITI is doing right now. Since I came, I'm very young to Malaysia, just 2 years plus, but I really love the Malaysian culture, food, everything, right? And you have a wonderful, inshallah, you have a wonderful country here with you. I have visited multiple trade fairs at MITEC, at KLCC. As Excellency Ambassador mentioned, the halal industry promotion, Islamic banking. So all these areas, what the Malaysian public sector is doing is, it's motivating its small and medium enterprises, its local enterprises to, go beyond, look beyond the borders, to take advantage of these agreements, not to look these agreements, free trade agreements, as a restriction or as a limitation to the growth of SMEs. So the correct way to approach is what normally what Maldives does is, we have a three-stage approach for such things. Like, for example, the public administration focus very much on disseminating the right information. It is very important for the civil service, whether it is diplomatic, whether it is civil service, to understand the agreements that are coming. That is crucial, very crucial, because today the fight is on the social media, like in the opening your cadets mentioned. The fight is on the social media. The fight is in the internet space. So for any getting the right balance is to have the right information disseminated about any agreement, and you need to have a multi-speed implementation for all these free trade. I think Malaysia government is doing that in both free trade agreements. Because some things industries need to give space for the local industries to grow. Malaysia is wonderful in, wonderfully exercising those things, and we are seeing that in practice. And thirdly, the regulatory framework to safeguard the SMEs. And I think Malaysia has done a wonderful job. Maldives actually take Malaysia as an example for this. Especially Malaysia's role in creating the niche in all these free trade agreements or in its bilateral, multilateral trade agreements. Malaysia is the #1 in halal industry. If you go to Maldives, how many of you have visited Maldives, by the way? You all are welcome, right? Inshallah, we'll see you one day in Maldives. The good thing is, only in Maldives, outside of Malaysia, you can order, I need a nasi goreng. Did you know that? In Maldives, you can go to any restaurant and you can order a nasi goreng. So nasi goreng has become a terminology in Maldives as well. In the trade, Malaysia has done very good because Maldives, Malaysia, we have the similar culture. We share the Islamic culture. So if you walk into any Maldivian store, any mart, any supermarket, 80% of the goods will be Malaysian goods. Why? Because of your halal industry, right? So you wouldn't find it's any difference like when you walk into a Korean store, you'll find so many things you don't know. But if you walk into any store in Maldives, you'll find is all the goods and service, goods, all the stuff that you are having here in your local store back in Maldives, right? So that's how good you are doing that, Actually, Malaysia is doing really good in protecting its domestic industries, SMEs, and then promoting a niche in all these international trade agreements. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Abbas, for a very insightful response. So actually, I'm from International Islamic University, Malaysia. And previously, in my study years, I've never been to Maldives, but I've met Maldives students in the campus. So I think it's really interesting. It's because I've never known from them that there is like popularized nasi goreng in Maldives. So it's really interesting. But back to the question, it is from your responses, it is about when making agreements, no borders, actually the better. But we need to manage the public expectation. And to do that, we need to disseminate the correct information. So now we move to Honorable Morgan. So when the USA designing the process for entering international treaties, actually, in your opinion, what principle that we should take priority? And should the priority be given to efficient decision making, the democratic oversight, or policy continuity? Or perhaps there is another equally important consideration, because as a nation, a big nation, what the consideration that the USA should put forward?
Sure, great question. This is going to be an important lesson for your entire careers. Not everything is black and white. There aren't always just yes or no answers to every question. There are shades of gray, and when you're going into negotiations with a country, there are different degrees of agreements that you can come to. Treaties being kind of the platinum standard, right? Where, especially in our system, we need 2/3 of our Senate. So 66 senators have to vote to pass the treaty, right? And right now the Senate is split like 54 Republican and 46 Democrat. So you can imagine that's really tricky to get to that threshold. And then even when the treaty is passed in the Senate, then the president has to sign it. Or you can go down and there's a whole array. There are MOUs and agreements like what our president signed here when he was in Malaysia for ASEAN last October. There were there were several MOUs that we signed with Malaysia. And it's just kind of figuring out and tuning the right balance of, let's call it like legitimacy versus expediency, right? Like how quick you can get it through and how many degrees it's been approved. So that's what you want to take into any negotiation with a foreign government, is just figuring out, okay, what's the tool that I need? Do I need to use a hacksaw here, or do I need a hammer, or do I need to use a baseball bat or a cricket bat? That's a shout out to Aussies there. But one of the things that came out of the president's visit last year was the agreement to go into the agreement on reciprocal trade. And that's something that we had $88 billion, so almost 400 billion ringgit in trade between our two countries last year. That's a big deal. That's a big deal for the United States, and it should be a big deal for Malaysia. And when we come into a trade agreement, we're looking for ways to level the playing field for both sides and have it be beneficial for both sides. If we have strong trade with you, that benefits us, and then hopefully you all see things the same way. And I keep thinking about food up here. Right now, our friends in Australia have a big advantage because you get, and also halal food, you guys get to have the beef from Australia. You don't get beef from the United States. I don't know if my man from Michigan has had a steak in the US, but not to take anything away from Australia, but USDA beef is out of this world, and you guys don't know what you're missing. Right now, with the ART coming into effect, we'll be in a position where we can start importing that steak into Malaysia. That meets halal standards. We have halal butcheries in the United States that Jakeem is going to come over and look at and make sure that they're certified so you all can enjoy it. But those are the kind of benefits, right? We talk about the monetary benefits, but just like going out for a date with your loved one on a Friday night, you guys can enjoy this together. So I just hope that both sides kind of progress through this process together and we can get that ART across the finish line, because it's an ultimate win-win situation.
Thank you, Honorable Morgan, for the response, because based on your response, I think fine-tuning the correct recipes, because there is no black and white in making international cooperations. So it's really hard, but then it's things that we need to learn across our career. So now we move on to the MP Jacinth from Australian Parliament, because we know Australia is actually known for effectively translating international commitments into domestic policies. So how has this specific capability of Australia contributed to Australia's national development? And what lessons in Malaysia that can we learn from that translation process?
I think that's a great question. And I know as a Member of Parliament, it's one of the things that I have to do for my local community that I represent. Because a lot of the time when you talk about international agreements, whether it's trade or security, you have to be able to subsequently explain to your neighbours and your local community, what does this mean for you specifically and you and your families. And sometimes that can be difficult, particularly if you represent, like myself, a metropolitan area where we don't have natural resources, we don't have farming communities, and we don't necessarily have even the significant services trades that you see in the major city centres. So I know part of my role is to work with our Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade to really understand, well, how does this agreement that has been negotiated or is being negotiated flow down to the people in my community? And so a big part of that is really understanding, well, if we're signing an agreement, say a security agreement, how does that make Australians safer in our community? And a lot of that is making sure we're working with our regional partners, whether it's Malaysia, whether it's Indonesia, whether it's across the Pacific as well, being able to say, look, we've invested this time, money and effort because it will deliver for our communities X, Y, and Z. And similarly for trade agreements, it could mean we get more produce from countries like Malaysia, countries like Uzbekistan, or some of that USDA beef that you mentioned before, Councillor. But all of that is really important to be able to make it tangible for our local communities. I know that's a bit of a challenge. I sat as part of my Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade, I sat within our trade division for some time, including when Australia was part of the Trans-Pacific Partnership negotiations. And being able to translate the work you're doing in that space to all communities in Australia is not that easy. but it's really important to do, because then that empowers you as a representative within our democratic system to further and continue to trade and enhance treaties and agreements with countries all around the world, because you need that domestic support, you need that domestic mandate in order to continue to pursue those agendas. So that communication exercise is very important. And I know one of the things that I try and do is work very closely with industry and colleagues in other kind of treaty areas to help translate the national significance to local significance in my electorate as well.
Thank you, Mr. Jason, for the response for the question. I think what can we get from that is that the international cooperations, international agreements need to be translated to be tangible for local communities. And when we talk about international treaties and also its domestic impact, it reflected the domestic approaches that have been taken by all the nations in the country. Now, we can move on to our third premise, or the third session.
All right, so we're going to discuss a bit.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yes.
Apologies. I do have to get off now, but it was wonderful to be able to join you all today, and I wish you the best of luck for the rest of the program. And I hope to see my diplomatic colleagues from the Maldives, Uzbekistan, and obviously from the US, hopefully visiting Australia sometime soon in the future as well.
Thank you, Mr. Zee.
Thank you, Honorable Jason.
All right, so let's move on to the third premises. So we want to discuss a bit of, in terms of diplomacy. You know, diplomacy people will say, you know, diplomacy is about dealing from one nation to one nation. You talk nicely to each other, but you know that's not the only definition of diplomacy, right? Sometimes we associate diplomacy with how the country negotiates, build relationship, and safeguard the national interest by looking at their geopolitical approach. But different diplomatic approach therefore not necessarily indicate that one country perform better than one another. All right, they reflect different strategies adopted to pursue national interests. So let's go to Mr. Ambassador. Please enlighten us with you know, Malaysia operate within ASEAN framework. We have to go by multilateralism because we are a very small country, right? But if we go as one, it's a bit stronger. Like the reciprocal tariff, we go as ASEAN, right? And the maritime involvement in ASEAN. While Uzbekistan is situated at the heart of the Central Asia and pursues a multi-vector diplomacy strategy, like you said, there's now discussions on how you can come as a regional Central Asia, right? So, in your opinion, what lesson can Malaysia learn from, you know, a new developed Uzbekistan?
Yeah, you know, every country's foreign policy, it reflects its geography, history, and national interests. As you mentioned, of course, Malaysia is a maritime country. You're surrounded everywhere by the water, peninsula part or Borneo part, everywhere water, very easy transport communication conditions. But different from the Malaysia, Uzbekistan is a landlocked country. Not only landlocked country, we are double landlocked country. In the world, the geography I am telling to you, in the world only 2 countries have a double landlocked condition.
One is Uzbekistan?
One of the Uzbekistan in Central Asia, second in Europe, Liechtenstein. But Liechtenstein has a quite different conditions. It's surrounded by developed countries of Europe and one of the richest countries of the world. But having the different strategic environments, our principles, one principle is the universal. Foreign policy should always serve national development. Therefore, we are pushing as the balanced and pragmatic multi-vector the foreign policy, because we are, as I mentioned, landlocked country. In every direction, we have to go to the world markets to sell our goods through the 2 or more countries.
Yeah.
In every direction. You can look to the map, to the west, to the south, to the east, or to the north, northwest, everywhere.
You have to bring passport
Yeah,
everywhere.
and therefore we are maintaining constructive relations with all partners, avoiding exclusive alignments. Our foreign policy strategy clearly mentions that Uzbekistan will never enter to the military political blocs. In every conflict, we are not giving one of the sides. We are keeping the neutral position, and therefore we are maintaining, first of all, very good relations. We are with our neighboring countries in Central Asia, all stans. There is the five stans, yeah, Turkmenistan, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, and Afghanistan. And through the Wahan corridor in Afghanistan, there is a Pakistan as well.
Oh.
The 15 kilometer from the border of Central Asia, not too far. Also the neighboring countries. And of course, we are maintaining with the close relations with the ASEAN countries. And just after tomorrow, my minister is going to Manila to sign ACT, Amity and Cooperation Treaty with ASEAN countries. And thanks to Malaysian presidency last year, during the negotiations with all ASEAN countries, last year we got the final decision of the ASEAN countries to sign this treaty, and my minister is going to sign it. And because we are looking to the Southeast Asian countries as a huge market, nearly 700 million people there. And we have a lot of mutual interest. And of course, our foreign policy approaches the 3 main principles. First, mutual respect and sovereign equality. Second, the economic diplomacy. We are paying great attention to economic diplomacy. It also take into account our geopolitical position, our geographical location, landlocked the conditions. And third, of course, regional cooperation, because no one country can address all challenges alone. Only we can together resolve all the problems. And why we are paying great attention to the regional cooperation? Because as we are saying, we cannot choose our neighbors. Yeah, we only can live with them in good peace neighborhood conditions. And of course, the Malaysia has many similarities with our country, and your country already follows with a similar philosophy through its independent foreign policy and active role within the ASEAN. If Uzbekistan is a central country in Central Asia, your country here in ASEAN has a central position. And our countries can be like main countries at the main point of the bridge between Southeast Asia and Central Asia. And of course, diplomacy today is not simply about managing political relations. It's increasingly about creating jobs, attracting investment, strengthening innovation, improving daily lives of the citizens. Of course, all of this on the head of the future of the public administrative relations. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ambassador. There's a very good point there where we need to be pragmatic in terms of our approach. We cannot be too, choosing sides. Neutrality is the best policy for both of our countries, but that's the current situation that best works for us. I would like to go to Mr. Abbas. Some of my colleagues do a bit of research and they found your academic papers discuss about environment impact on economy and also, economic policy, public policy and privatizations, you know. Maldives, as a nation of islands, it's a very high in terms of tourism, navigating profound environmental challenges, right? You have, you know, this tourists, and also with the tourism, of course, there's an development. So how do you balance economic development and relationship with the global powers, you know, when you're entering those treaties? Of course, there's some impact here and there, right? So how can a smaller state leverage specialized niche, such as climate policy, or targeted bilateral trade representations to punch above their weights on the global stage? You know? Can you enlighten us on that side?
I'll try to rephrase the question itself. For example, small countries such as Maldives, our population is 500,000, right? And then maybe to come to 1 million. But the way we think is different. The way we govern, especially in the governance sector, we think is totally different. From the governance perspective, we take into account that our population today is our population plus all the visitors and all the workers. And then we plan for that. Small states, diplomacy is not a luxury. It is a necessity. Maldives, with its Islamic character and the culture of 2,000 years of heritage, we try to navigate between, because to the north is India, to our northeast is Sri Lanka, and to our south is USA, part of USA, Diego Garcia, and to the very further east is Aceh. We used to have a traditional relationship shipping between Aceh and Maldives, and to the very west will be Seychelles, Madagascar, African continent. So we are like the gatekeeper for everyone, you know. As Excellency Ambassador mentioned, Maldives throughout the history has never taken sides, cannot take sides. We cannot afford to take sides. Maldives has to remain neutral, and Maldives has to serve the entire world. So the entire Maldives, public sector, civil service, diplomatic corps, everybody, we have to make sure we balance this act. You know, we have to be very generous to the entire world. One advantage that we take is, like, for example, most of our graduates will be graduated abroad Maldives. It's one way, education we use as, you know, promoting diplomacy. My daughter, by the way, wished to study in USA, and she likes to study petroleum geography, actually. I don't know where this will be available. So most Maldivians, I graduated from Sri Lanka. I can speak perfect Sinhala. And then most Maldivians, from the very school age, they are taught English, Arabic, and Urdu, maybe. Our own language, Divehi as well. So we can speak the majority of the Indian subcontinent languages. We understand that. But we have our own language, Divehi. And we being for Muslims for the past 920 years, so we can read, understand Arabic. And then for the past 100 years, we have been learning English as well. So this is part of diplomacy, part of survival. We are part of Islamic University. That's another strategy of being us. Maldives, we are very much with the Malaysian government in foundation of Islamic University as well. And then Maldives send its scholars, educate them in Malaysia, Islamic culture. Because coexistence has to be the foundation of our culture, our survival. So Maldives cannot punch. The word punch is not for Maldives.
Okay.
And to be very loud is also not Maldives. You know, we cannot be punching, we don't even have an army, a fighting force. We don't have a military like that, you know. We will defend ourselves. We have been defending ourselves for the past 2,000 years through diplomacy. Through exchange, cultural exchanges, through good relationship. For example, Maldives' advocacy in climate diplomacy is a very good example. Maldives play a crucial role, is seen as, you know, defenders of climate. And then Maldives play a very important, crucial role in SIDS, Small Island Developing Nations, UN organization. Maldives use its multilateral diplomacy in terms of education, in terms of healthcare. For example, Maldives sends most of its, Maldives has a universal healthcare system since 2008. We try to balance, use this healthcare policy, send our patients abroad, India, Malaysia, Sri Lanka, even Thailand. Most of our students, the largest population of our student abroad outside of Maldives is in Malaysia, in Malaysian universities. We are learning from Malaysia, actually. We learn a lot from Malaysia. We have health cooperation, we have educational cooperation. So I think survival, especially for navigating as a small state, and then we are learning lessons from Malaysia. Malaysia does wonderful, actually, in the Islamic community, Islamic countries, among the Islamic nations. The Islamic world looks at Malaysia for education, for guidance in Islamic halal industry, banking industry, financial industry, especially even in fashion, even in design.
Okay.
So I think Maldives, being small is all about, you know, survival will depend on relationships. Thank you.
I think, you know, as we only know Maldives is about tourism, now we know Maldives offers a lot of stuff and offerings that they leverage as a diplomacy tools to travel abroad and then to strengthen our relationship with other countries. I would like to take that opinion and throw it back to you, you know, because Malaysia we have leveraged a lot on middle powers, right? Our influence, food diplomacy, sport diplomacy, education diplomacy, and whenever we go abroad, we bring the brand of ASEAN, but it's different from America, you know, because US, you know, you are very strong in terms of economy, the military, you know, technology, infrastructure. So drawing the experience there, with the different kind of diplomatic approach, how can you explain to us about this kind of approach, and are there an alternative approach that deserve greater considerations when we deal in the international stage? Yeah.
Right. It's like the first question too. There is no one size fits all approach. What works for the Maldives, or as the Australians call it, Maldives, or Uzbekistan, or the United States. We're all going to have different, and certainly Malaysia, we're all going to have different approaches, and there isn't one right way to do it. It's just kind of leaning in for what works for you, right? So with Malaysia, right, neutrality doesn't mean that you just don't do anything, right? Why would we hire all of you if you weren't going to do anything, right? Now, your job is to diversify, look for different partnerships that make sense for Malaysia, and that's not really too different than what we do in the United States. You do it more through ASEAN. We do it through like a hub and spoke model is what we call it, but we're looking for different partnerships and allies and alliances to get us through just like you all do. So that's what we bring to the table. The one thing that's really important here is finding common ground, right? Areas where we can identify with one another. And we have a bunch of exchanges through the embassy. We have the Waisili program. There are about 10,000 members here in Malaysia. We have alumni of our exchanges. There are about 5,000 Malaysians that are alumni of US-funded programs where they've come to the US and experienced the US that way. And then we also have students that study in the United States every year. And I want a lot of you to go for grad school in the US. I want your daughter to go to Oklahoma to study there. And you know, use those ties to find that common ground where we can work together and find the partnerships that work in your model and in our model. The last thing, I don't know if I'm going to have another chance here, but if I can get everybody's attention, I know you're not supposed to tell people to look at their phones during a talk like this, but if you're not following us on LinkedIn, I want you to do. I know how many people are on following us right now. I'm going to count everybody in this room and make sure we go up by that. But commercial diplomacy is a huge part of what we do in the United States. And it's a huge part of our bilateral relationship with you all in Malaysia. And I think it's really important as diplomats to have an idea of the US industries that are investing here in you all and the Malaysian industries that are investing in the US. And then I also want to hear success stories from Malaysians as well. So it's at US Embassy KL. You can follow us on Instagram, on Facebook too, but LinkedIn is the one I'm really trying to grow. So if you do me a favor, go on there. I don't even care if you do it right now, but thank you.
Yeah, and you can also follow Mr. Morgan O'Brien
Follow
on
me,
LinkedIn.
yeah.
You know, he's a very strong alumni that goes. You know, I do some stalking on your profile.
Good.
I think that's some of the great stuff that you do as an alumni of your previous university and all, and that's one of the way you strengthen diplomacy, right? Yeah. So that's the only time that we have for today. I'm very sorry we have a string of time, but I'm sure that our fellow panels are happy to engage with you on a question on the floor after this. And Anas, please take the floor.
Actually, I probably have a little bit more of time to ask the final question to all of our distinguished guests. So would you like to have the honor to ask the last question?
Please continue.
Okay. So His Excellency, Dr. Karamidin, Mr. Abbas, and also Mr. Morgan. So actually now, looking out at auditorium today, you are seated before Malaysia's next generation of policymakers, alongside the current ministry representatives and also embassy officials. So from all of your vast international experience, what is the single most important piece of advice you would give to all of these PTD cadets as they step into their service, maybe next Monday? So how can they effectively translate the global insights that we have discussed today into actionable and localized and personalized initiatives that can serve the people of Malaysia? So we must start with His Excellency.
Thank you. It's in this age, like me, after the 60 years, the people becoming very much like to give some advices. Therefore, I very much like to give some advices. So if I offer one piece of advice, it would be keep your ears, keep your eyes always open and never stop learning, because time is going very fast and the conditions also changing very fast. In our time, I'm saying we are representatives of the old generation. We didn't have the iPhones, we didn't have a computers even, we didn't have an internet. Now every day the conditions is changing. Now the AI becomes in our life, and therefore never stop learning. Secondly, always remember why government exists. And of course, you can focus on procedures, regulations, and some paperwork, but never forget that behind all of them, of any policy, there is a concrete citizen is staying. And behind every regulation is a business owner, student, farmer, family, or elderly person whose daily life may be affected by your decision. Therefore, you are the future decision makers of Malaysia. Therefore, always make the right decision. When I was the university student, my time being, there was a topic in our philosophy subject, objective and subjective, the truth. What it means? Objective truth, it means that your decision should correspond to the objective reality. And in this case, your decision will be very easily implemented and it works. If your decision not corresponds to the objective reality, it will not work. You will have a huge problems to implement it. The one small story, in the 1960s, the Khrushchev, who was the leader of the Soviet Communist Party, came to Uzbekistan. Uzbek people very much like Malaysian people eat rice. We have our own local type of rice, and we are producing it in Khorasan and Karakalpakstan regions where we have a river valleys. And Khrushchev went to Khorasan region and saw huge wide areas of the rice fields, and he tasked the local government, why you are producing the rice here? Uzbekistan only should produce cotton for Soviet Union, because we were one of the, after the, of course, United States, second main cotton producer country in the world that time. And we, after that, stopped to produce the rice and began import the rice from the Vietnam. And of course, in this area where we got the 8 or 10 ton of the rice per hectare, we got only 1 ton of cotton. You see, how was a very low effectiveness. And another thing, we began to import the rice from Vietnam, and the Vietnamese rice, it's not suitable for the preparing our king of our meals, Uzbek pilaf. For Uzbek pilaf, we are using only our local rice. And therefore, my final advice to you, make always right decision. Thank you.
Make always right decision. Very heartfelt actually when I heard the story about the story of the rice, the pilaf Uzbekistan. So, Mr. Abbas, would you mind to share your advice?
When Our Excellency Ambassador has given his advice, that's the basic of public administration. I think His Excellency Ambassador have been a tutor in the institute, and then the basic is everything will change. Everything will change. The only thing that will not change is your relationship with the public. Yes. Everything else will change. Policy will change. The fundamental of everything else will change. Right? Technology will change. Systems will change. Everything will change, but not the relationship between the public servant and the public that you are serving. So make sure you never forget that. Make sure you never forget that. That's my advice. Thank you.
Making right decision, the relationship with public. That's the advice that we got from His Excellency and also Mr. Abbas. Now, from Mr. Morgan, what advice would you give us?
It's very similar, but one, you're young, right? So now is the time where you need to work as hard as possible and kind of make your reputation. But working hard on stupid stuff makes no sense. It's working hard on stuff worth working on that's important. And as public servants, which we all are in this room, we serve the public. It's not like a secret, right? That's what our job title is. And the first thing, when that phone rings, when you get that random email, the first thing that you need to think of is, how can I help? How can I help? And if you put that first, if you put that servant part of public servant first, you're going to open doors for yourself and you're going to have an unbelievable career. You're about to enter this, and I would trade with anyone in this room to have a chance to do this all over again. And that would, be my guiding principle, is how can I help? How can I be of service? And I would work like a madman on that. That's one. The second thing is, and the most important thing, that most important decision you're ever going to make in your life is who your partner is. And I know this is a little bit different, a little bit off the beaten path, but choosing the right husband or wife is the key to success. And I can't stress that enough. It's the ambassador talked about serving the citizens, and the foundation of the citizenry is the family, right? And having a strong family, having a good partner there to support you when you're working hard and when you're working hard for other people is the key, not just to a great career, but to a great life. God bless you all, and good luck with the journey you're about to start.
Working hard, the essence of how can I help, and also the relationship with our partner. Actually, I'm from a background psychology student, so when you said the last advice, it's really stunned me because, I never expect that advice would come from diplomats today. So it's a powerful and fitting conclusion. So thank you to His Excellency Dr. Karamidin Gadawef, Mr. Abbas Adil Riza, and also Mr. Morgan O'Brien. And also previously joined online, Mr. Zersent, for all the invaluable insights, time, and candor today. You have truly broadened our perspectives. So ladies and gentlemen, please join us in giving our distinguished panel a massive round of applause. So now I will hand the floor back to our MCs to continue with the next agenda.
Thank you to the moderators and distinguished speakers for their enlightening discussion and valuable insight shared throughout the session. Ladies and gentlemen, the program now proceeds with the presentation of tokens of appreciation to our distinguished speaker in recognition of their contribution to today's forum. Please welcome on stage Yang Berusaha Encik Karya Azwan bin Abu Mansur and Cadet Megat Muhammad Syauqi to present the token of appreciation to our cadet panelists. Our first recipient, please welcome Cadet Dr. Nohanis on stage to receive the tokens of appreciation. Next, may I invite Cadet Jagantaran on stage to receive the tokens of appreciation. Thank you, Cadet Jagantaran. Yang Berusaha Encik Karya Azwan bin Abu Mansur and Cadet Megat Muhammad Syauqi, please remain on stage.
Now we will proceed with the presentation of tokens of appreciation to our distinguished guest speakers. Our first recipient is His Excellency Dr. Karomidin Gadoyev. Please welcome His Excellency to the stage to receive the token of appreciation on behalf of Intan, presented by Yang Berusaha Encik Khairil Azwan. Our guest speakers will also receive a special gift on behalf of WIRAJA NUSA presented by Cadet Megat Muhammad Shauki, the Program Director, featuring a selection of Malaysian local delights representing the rich flavors of Malaysia. Thank you, Your Excellency, for sharing your invaluable insights with us today. Next, may I invite Mr. Morgan O'Brien to the stage to receive his token of appreciation. Thank you, Mr. Morgan O'Brien, for enriching today's discussion with your expertise. And finally, may I invite Mr. Abbas Aderiza to the stage to receive his token of appreciation. Thank you, Mr. Abbas, for your insightful sharing and for being part of today's forum. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give our distinguished speakers another round of applause in appreciation of their invaluable insights and contributions today.
Ladies and gentlemen, as today's program draws to a close, we would like to invite everyone to join us for the official group photo session. Kindly proceed to the center of the hall for the group photograph.
Ready? Okay. Next Gen Governance, Global Insights, Local Aspiration, settle, see you.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our program this morning. On behalf of the organizing committee, heartfelt appreciation is extended to everyone whose contribution have made today's program a success. Guests are cordially invited to proceed for morning refreshment served outside the auditorium. Thank you for your participation. Have a pleasant day ahead.